Okay, for this video we are going to use these commands up here because we're going to set this up to be dimensioned, which we're going to do on the next video. So I'm going to show you how to use all these views, and we're going to use these, and I'll explain why we're using them as we use them, and you'll see it more when you get to the next video and we're dimensioning things, how this is going to work. But I first want to go through, so we have this, that's fine. I want to change the scale of this. I had it 0.6. I want to make it 0.5. So let's change this to 0.5. And then let's go in here to our text and change this scale to 0.5 to 1. There's just too many dimensions that go into this to make it that size. Then what I want to do is I want to go to annotate, and as we do this, I'm going to label each one of these parts. So let's change our text size to 0.24, and let's type in train body, and then we can take this and we can move that, and we have train body. Now, we're going to go on to the next one. This one we're going to do a breakout view. The reason we're going to do a breakout view is stuff like this, or a part like this, when you want to be able to see what's going on the inside, we can go back to place views, we can start a sketch, and you want to click on the view that you're sketching on, and I want to go into the spline command. It's in the line command, and I'm going to go into spline, and I'm going to click about right here, and every time I click, I can make this thing turn. So I'm clicking a whole bunch of times here. And if you don't get this right the first time and you don't like the way that it looks, you can go back and fix it. But we got to make sure that these two connect. Once they connect, you're going to have they don't connect. So let's go to coincident here and there, and then they're connected. If they're not connected, it won't work. So then we want to go to breakout view, and I want to select the part that I'm going to break out, and it shows my spline, and I'm just going to click on, it has profile here, I'm going to click on this line because it's going to break out this side here. And I want to click OK, and then it breaks that out. Then I can see what's going on the inside. I got a little section view here inside the breakout view. Notice how it doesn't appear on my isometric. If you want it to appear on your isometric, I want to delete that view, and then create view, projected view, and then I have my isometric with the breakout so I can see what's going on inside there. Now, I want to label these parts. So let's go to text. Let's put our text down here. This is the stack. Change that font to 0.24. Actually, you have to do it before you do the text. So 24 stack. Oh, let's go back to that text. Sorry. Let me just delete this. Okay, I can go back in there now. And then on this, I want to have, because we have three different parts on here, I want to put the scale of what my stack is. So the scale is 1 to 1. So notice, we have this blank down here, our scale, but all three of these parts have different scales. So we tell what the scale is here with the label of the part, and then we can just leave this blank because they're different ones. The next one, I want to put text here, and let's make this 0.24, and this is hitch peg, scale 2 to 1. Hit escape and you can get out of that command, and then you can move it around a little bit. And then the last one, we are going to do text under the hitch magnet. Let's change our font size, hitch magnet, scale 2 to 1. Hit escape, and I want to make sure everything looks professional, is inside the boundaries, and we're good with this part. So let's go on to the next sheet. Next sheet, we got a lot going on with this one. We're going to do a section view with this one, and we're going to do a detailed section view. So we're going to do this one and this one. Now, before when I place this, I wanted to make sure this was exactly at 12 o'clock or straight up, because when I do my section view, I want to click in section view. See how if I go into this part here, up here it doesn't do it. Yeah, it does it up there too. That shows that I'm directly in the center. I want to make a click. So I clicked once. I'm going to drag it to the bottom. Then I want to click again, another left click, a right click, continue, and then I drag this out to the right-hand side. So what this does is this gives me a section view where I can give it all of these dimensions, and you'll see that more when we do that on the next video. So this already gave us our scale, but let's annotate it. So let's go to text, put our text box down here, go back to the 0.24, and this is the wheel. And we can put that, it's the only part, let's throw that right here in the center. Now this one, we're going to go back to place views, and we're going to go to, this is a detailed section view. So I want to click my part, and when you do this, you want to click out here, because if you click in here, the circle gets big. So you want to click about right there, and we want about that much of it. Actually, that one's a little bit too big. Let's start a little bit closer. So let's go to detail, click on this, and let's click about right there. It's still drawing the circle way out there. There you go. That's fine. Okay. Notice that this has my scale at 2 to 1 because this is twice the size. And what we're going to do with this is we are going to give it these angles that we gave it when we initially sketched out. Okay? So that'll make more sense when you see those angles. So now that we have these two section views, we're done with this part. You want to make sure that this down here is not into your title block. Okay? And then we're done with this one. So let's go on to sheet 6. Sheet 6 has another section view just like the last one of the axle peg. So I want to click on the axle peg. I want to go to section view, and I want to get that perforated line again. Click, left click, right click, continue, drag that out, and then we have a section view. And we already did the breakout view for this one. Okay, so we did that one earlier to be able to fit that on. And that's all we're going to do with this, but we're going to label these. So we want to go up a little bit. We're going to go to annotate, text, put it under here, change this to 0.24, and we're going to go axle, peg, and the scale of that one was, I'm pretty sure it's 2. Let me go check real quick. So if I get out of here, the scale's 2 to 1. So I double click on my axle peg, scale 2 to 1. That's down here in my title block, so let's move this up slightly, and let's pull this guy up there. Okay. Now we're going to go to linkage peg, so let's put that text over here. Change my font size, linkage peg, and the scale for this one is 2 to 1. Okay, and then here we're going to go to linkage, change your font, linkage, arm, and the scale here is 1 to 1. And let's escape out of that and put that about right there. Okay, so this sheet's done. Let's move this isometric over a little bit so it's not so close. Okay, this sheet's done. As you can see, we don't have the scale here because it's listed underneath all the parts. So let's go on to sheet 7. And this one has a few different, or a couple different views. It has a section view, but the section view on this one is kind of tricky. So let's pull this down a little bit. And we want to go to section view, and we want to start, like, try to be right in the middle of these two pegs. Okay, so I'm right here, and I want to try to go at an angle where I can get this. Right-click continue, and I want to drag this out to the right-hand side. Then I can dimension Did I miss it? Yep, that's not good enough. Let's try that again. Section view. Here. About right there. There. Much better. Okay. See how this changed? It used to be much wider than that. So now watch what happens. When I dimension this, this should be 0.05. Not 1 degree. Dimension from here to here. We'll mess around with that later. So just have that section view out here. If you have to change it later on and your dimension doesn't show up, I don't know why it's doing an angle there, but I don't want to waste your time on this video. I'll figure it out, and then in the next video when I dimension, I'll be able to show it. Sometimes Inventor with the new updates does things weird, and they don't work the same as they did with the old ones. But this one right here, because we're not going at an angle, this should be 0.1, which it is. So it looks like we're good with that. Now, this one is an auxiliary view. This one is a little strange. So my auxiliary view, I have room over here. So I want to click this, and then I want to click that line and pull this out here. Because what we're trying to do is we're trying to get the dimension of this from here to here is 0.99. That should be 0.1, so I'm pretty close. Let's try that one more time. Let's go back, place views, auxiliary view. Let's click this, and let's click this line instead. There we go. That's the one I wanted to click. So now when I go to annotate and I go from here to here, it's 0.1. So you want to click on this line here, and it brings it out where that face is there. Because look what happens. So from here to here is what I just did, right? Watch what happens if I dimension that off of the front view. This is that same area. That's not accurate. So we need that auxiliary view to get this flat face in order to accurately dimension this at 0.1. Alright, so that's it for the cow catcher. I'll work on this section view because this between here and here should be 0.5, and it doesn't look like it's going to be. Actually, let me try this. Annotate, dimension, here, here. Still doing that 1 degree. So I'll get that one fixed for the next video. Then we're going to go on. I already did the scale for this one. Okay, at this point, You have most likely made the track, and you've most likely constrained the train to the track. If not, that's fine. But as you can see, my scale here is 0.5. So when you make a new sheet for this one, we're going to go to, place views, base view, and I want to go find the track. This is the last part that we made, train track. I want to bring this in, and we are not going to be able to have this as 1-to-1. Okay, let's do half to 1, see what that looks like. That's way too big, so a quarter is fine. Quarter to 1, mine said 0.5. We're going to have to do it at a quarter. We could probably do a third. Let's try 1/3. Yeah, 1/3 is fine, and then I'll go back in here and change the scale. So then I go up here, over here. Oop. Let's bring this in again. Base view, 1/3, track, open. Let's do it like this, and then flip it. I think that's going to put this on the top. Is that the top? Yeah, that's the top. Then the right side, and the isometric. Okay, perfect. Now let's take this over, move that over, let's shade this, and there's no need to do anything to this view because we only have one sheet, but let's name it. Let's go to annotate text. Oop, gotta change my font size. Train track. Okay, let's move this up here a little bit. All right, and the very last sheet is going to be the train assembled on the track. So let's go to place views. Actually, we need to go to new sheet. We're going to make the scale of this 0.5-to-1. I'm just going to stick with my 12/11 where I started. If you guys want to change it to the current date, that's fine. And let's go 0.5-to-1. Okay, but let's go back here really quick. I forgot to change my scale. So let's go in here. Let's open this up. And it's actually better for you guys to see this with me making mistakes because then you know how to go navigate through things to fix your mistakes because they're going to happen. Nobody's perfect. All right. Now, train assembly with track. You should have two train assemblies, one with and one without. Okay? So here's the one with. Let's change the scale to 0.5. Let's face it to the left. 0.5 is actually going to be, no, that's probably going to be too big. Let's go to a third. Third's fine. Up here, over here, over here. Okay. Now, this is a full assembly, so all views are shaded. You always shade all views in something that you don't annotate. If there's ever annotations or dimensions, then you don't shade them. Last thing we need to do on this video is go in here, change this to 0.33-to-1. And we're done. File, save,